Subnautica 2 is an open world, or open ocean, survival craft game that just released into early access on Steam. And I've been playing it heavily over the past few days, and I wanted to give you guys a rundown of what my experiences have been. The good, the bad, and help you answer the ultimate question. Is it worth diving into right now? Let's get into it.
I am Noah. My job is your life. Find a convenient way to die.
Now, I'm coming into this one as a lover of the survival craft genre, but I haven't really played too much of the first one, so I'm getting like a semi-fresh experience. The big difference between Subnautica 2 and its predecessor is the introduction of co-op. In the first one, you had to play completely alone. You only had the option of single player. But in this one, a total of 4 friends can play together. It's something fans have heavily requested, and Unknown Worlds have honestly done a great job of nailing it here, while still retaining all the things that made the first game so good in the first place. Now, I do want to say up front that the current early access content feels kind of short. My friends and I played for about 10 hours, and we ended up completing like all the story content that there is to offer right now. And we were messing around for a lot of it, so if you're expecting a full game experience, you're not going to find that here, at least not yet. As you enter the game for the first time, you choose from a selection of preset characters, and you get to customize them by choosing which color swimsuit you get to wear. If you're like me and you love deeper character creation tools, then you're going to be disappointed with this one, but there are plans to expand customization in the future. After this, all of your phobias are immediately triggered as you enter the tutorial, and you learn very quickly how to swim through tight spaces, and you get your first glimpse of the dark depths below. And all of this culminates in a cutscene where you are shot out into the surface of the ocean and dropped off in the starting area.
Titan class biosignature on the horizon.
Very quickly, you are introduced to Noah, who is like an AI hive mind computer system that sits in your life pod or in your base, and effectively acts as your mailbox or quest hub. Noah will sort of give you information as time goes on to say, hey, you need to go out and search in this area of the ocean, or hey, there's a distress signal over there, you should go search that thing. Now, there is a story here that I'm not going to spoil, told through voice-acted journals that you can swim out into the ocean and go and find at various wrecks and abandoned bases and things. And the story basically revolves around why you're here alone on this planet and what's happened to the rest of your crew. At first, I wasn't really invested in the story. Voice acting helps, but if I'm in a game and I'm just exploring story through journals, it's not as good as having cutscenes or things like this. But later on I will say that the story starts moving away from the journal thing a little bit and actually engages you with interacting with the world in various ways, and you actually see things happening in the world due to your interactions. That for me is way more engaging, and so the story did start to suck me in towards the end of the early access. But the main purpose of the story is really to drive you toward the areas that the game wants you to go and explore. And exploration is where Subnautica 2 really shines. The underwater environments are varied and visually distinct. One minute you might be drifting across a beautiful, colourful coral reef, and then the next moment you might be sucked into a creepy dark cave or overlooking a chasm where you can't even see what's at the very bottom. And as I've been exploring over the past few days, something that really surprised me was just how well optimized the game is. I mean, it really runs smoothly, and the stylized graphics fit the world perfectly. Corals pop with color, and the water reflections look crisp. I'd had multiple moments where I ended up losing track of where my friends were because I had to just stop and stare at some of the scenery. Seeing massive alien-like whale creatures just swimming in the distance, or surfacing, and then seeing this Saturn-like planet in the night sky looming above you, really creates some incredible moments. One really cool encounter we had was when the alien whale creatures were swimming over our base, and then all of a sudden thousands of like glowing eggs were just raining down upon us. And at first we just thought it was some kind of visual ambient effect, but then we went over to them and we realized we could pick some of them up and use them as highly nutritious food and learn new food recipes with them. And it's little unscripted moments like this that really make the world feel like it's coming alive. I also want to mention the sound design and music here because it's really well done, and it really helps to build the atmosphere in different areas of the game. Like when you're floating across the deep dark chasms below, and you hear the rumbles of a giant creature that's just lurking down there waiting to eat you, it really makes the hairs stand up on the back of your neck. And when you're returning to base from a dangerous run, and you get through the door finally, and you hear Noah greet you in its robotic voice, you really feel that sense of comfort and safety as you've returned home.
Welcome aboard.
A lot of sections of the world are blocked off by early access walls right now, where they're still building out the content, so that's a bit disappointing, but again, it's an early access game. It just speaks to the fact that I want more. That's it. So that's a good thing. Aside from taking in the sights, the main reason to explore is to unlock new schematics, find new resources, and find food for survival. If you're the kind of player that loves constant progression and that zero to hero feeling of earning the right to visit new dangerous regions by leveling up or by improving in some way, this game absolutely delivers. As you follow Noah's waypoints, you're going to find abandoned bases and scan lost pieces of technology that you find just lying around on the ocean floor. And if you scan enough pieces, you're going to be able to unlock the ability to craft that technology into tools or building pieces back at your base. And nearly everything that you can craft has meaningful impact on progression in the game. So for example, you might learn how to craft the sonic resonator, which is a tool that you can use to mine resources much more efficiently. And you can even use it to get through certain areas to progress the story of the game. Now you constantly need to manage your survival, so you do need to think about food and water and avoiding some of the scarier creatures in the game. And there are some genuinely funny jump scare moments here, like playing with friends and just hearing people constantly screaming down the microphone when a giant creature pops out of them is hilarious. And so it begins.
Oh my god, that was just my own shadow. I don't like this game.
What makes Subnautica 2 unique in the survival craft genre is that there is a complete lack of combat. But that doesn't mean there isn't any tension or action. It just comes through panic and movement and survival instead of fighting. You can't just kill the big giant creature coming to eat you. Instead, you're distracting it with flares or trying to disorient it with some of your tools in a desperate bid to escape it. And because basically your entire life is spent underwater in this game, oxygen management becomes a major concern as well. And it can get pretty tedious, especially in the early game, because you are constantly having to surface for air. I drowned a lot, mostly because I kept getting distracted and missing the low oxygen warning. Upgrade your oxygen tank as soon as possible. When you die, your definitely friendly and totally trustworthy AI companion Noah reprints your body back at base. And thankfully, most of the items that you had on your hotbar stay with you, but you do drop some of your inventory items. And if you want to go back to your corpse to loot these, you can do, so that's good. One minor issue I found though is that it is really difficult to find your body again because there is no UI element that directs you towards it, and the small capsule that you drop upon death is so small it's really difficult to see among the corals or just in the ocean. Like, it's just difficult. So hopefully that gets improved later on down the line as well. Where the game really became fun for me personally was when it introduced base building and vehicles. Now I will say that the first base that you can build is basically just a tiny corridor. Like, they don't give you the access to the normal sized rooms yet to actually put machines in. And that's kind of weird because you unlock a lot of these schematics to some of these lockers and machines and things, but you can't actually fit them in this tiny corridor base that you're building. And it's only a little bit later that you unlock the rooms that are big enough to store those things in. So that's kind of a weird thing for me. I think the devs should just make it so that you get the rooms from the very beginning. But once I unlocked them, I did really enjoy the system. And there is this really cool base building mechanic where you can kind of expand parts of the room out to make different shaped rooms and things. So you can really like build the base in the shape that you want. I did find it a kind of a shame that you can't build rooms on top of each other. Like, you can, but there's no like access point between them like there is when you place them next to each other. So hopefully that's something that the devs consider in the future as well. The base building is fun, but it can feel a little bit clunky at times. So trying to get your mouse, for example, to highlight the correct part of the base that you're trying to expand or shrink, it can be really difficult to get it to line up properly. There are enough decorations that you can turn your base from like an empty sterile lab into a nicely decorated sterile lab. I mean, you're always going to have that effect because you're this underwater base. I would love it if they added some colors for the walls and things just to break that up a bit. But in general, you can really go to town on decorating and make the base feel like home and feel a lot more personal. And as your base expands, you're going to unlock increasingly useful machinery and things that are going to be really useful. So for example, you can unlock a resource scanner that allows you to pinpoint where around you are specific resources. So one of you can be at base scanning while the other one collects the resources. It's really useful. Eventually you'll also unlock the moon pool and your very first vehicle, the tadpole, which is basically like a one-person mini submarine. And you can upgrade and customize your vehicle. So we had one that had wings on it that made it a lot faster and was really good for scouting and exploration. And then we also had another one that had a really heavy chassis on it that looked very different, but it had an extra cargo compartment, so it was really good for resource runs. And that's really cool because it allows you and your friends to play with different styles. You can also unlock passive and active abilities for your character at one of the biostations that you can build in your base. And these are really helpful. So an example of this might be that you equip a passive ability that lets you swim a lot faster when you're close to the seabed. Or an active ability might be a dash effect, which is really useful when you're struggling for oxygen and you forgot to go up there again and you have to dash to the top, or if you need to dash out of the way of a creature that's attacking you. The other progression mechanic they have in the game are these things called angel combs. Now, this ties into the story, so I don't want to spoil it too much, but effectively they are these like alien plants that you can go out and touch in the world, and by touching them, it changes your DNA. And basically what it does is it gives you the ability to go into new areas. Maybe you can withstand loads of heat now and go into a hotter area in the ocean, or maybe you can withstand more pressure and you can go deeper. Overall here, the progression system feels really, really satisfying. Unlocking new tools and vehicles and abilities for your character constantly pushes you to go and explore the riskier, more dangerous parts of the ocean. The game does have a couple bugs here and there. Like, I'd experienced one where I got into the sub for the first time, and as I drove, it just went to light speed and shot across the ocean, and I had no idea where I was. That was wild. But the bugs are really few and far between and very minor. So despite the bugs, and despite how short the story content is in the early access right now, the game is super high quality and has really strong foundations to be expanded upon. The exploration is rewarding, the progression loop is really satisfying, and the addition of co-op is truly fantastic. It's really fun going out there and exploring with friends when you have jump scares or just finding things together. And on top of that, for the players that actually prefer to play alone and solo, you still have that option. Although if you do play co-op, don't forget to try and stick together, especially for the quests and things like that, because you just don't want to end up having these voice-acted journal entries stacking on top of each other. It's chaos. The other issue with that is if everyone's off doing all different parts of the story and finding different things, you might completely miss things you've unlocked, and it can make the story harder to follow. And that means that it can de-immerse you a little bit from the experience. So basically just stick together for most of the story and the quest bits and you should be fine. Ultimately, even though I'm usually somebody who likes intense combat in my games, I had a lot of fun with Subnautica 2, and I'm betting that a lot of survival craft fans out there are going to love this one too. It's also one of those games that has kept giving me the itch to do one more dive and keep coming back to the game. So that to me is the sign that it's probably a really good game and that they've probably nailed the core gameplay loop. I do have a concern about long-term replayability. Right now, obviously it's early access, so you have a short story, that's fine. They're going to expand on the story in the future. But once the story's done, there's not really much incentive to keep playing. So what I'd love to see from the devs is any thoughts or ideas on the roadmap about what do you plan for like end-game content after the story that would keep players in the game and incentivize to keep exploring around the ocean. There is already a roadmap showing what's planned next, and if you've bought into early access, you do get all this future content for free. There aren't currently any timelines for these updates, but they include better base building systems, improved co-op mechanics, more biomods and abilities, sprinting, new vehicles, new creatures, new biomes, and continued story expansion. It's really nice that the devs are already planning to tackle a lot of the issues I've addressed in this video, and also that they're adding sprinting, because yeah, walking at a snail's pace in your base everywhere is kind of a pain in the ass. Right now the game costs €30 or about $35 on Steam, and some of you might feel like that's a little bit too expensive for having such a short story in the game. And if you don't want to get it right now, I don't blame you. I mean, again, it's early access, it's not a full launch yet. In my opinion, it's been worth it for the past 3 days of gameplay. I've had a ton of fun, a lot of jump scares, a few frustrations, but yeah, ultimately it's been a really great, smooth experience, and they've got great foundations for what's to come, and I can't wait to see all the new content that devs are going to be bringing to the game. If you found this review helpful, or at the very least entertaining, don't forget to like and subscribe. It will really help the channel out moving forward. And drop a comment below if you've played Subnautica 2 and you agree with me, or you have a completely different opinion, or if you're waiting for more content before you make the purchase. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got one more dive left in me. I'll see you in the depths.